that the producers, far left-wing activists in Hollywood, are turning on her, and Disney has canceled all of Rachel Zegler's appearances on their media platforms. Kind of tough.
The producer's named Mark Platt. His son, Jonah Platt, took this down later, I don't know why, but he says, my dad, the producer of an enormous piece of Disney IP with hundreds of millions of dollars on the line, had to leave his family to fly across the country to reprimand his 20-year-old employee for dragging her personal politics into the middle of promoting the movie for which she signed a multi-million-dollar contract to get paid and do publicity for. Her actions clearly hurt the film's box office. Tens of thousands of people worked on that film, and she hijacked the conversation for her own immature desires. And it goes on and on. I mean, he just really went off.
Rachel Zegler is reportedly at the center of a shocking decision. Disney is said to be removing her not just from the marketing campaign, but from the film itself. And here's the twist. According to inside sources, Gal Gadot, who originally played the evil queen, is now set to take over the role of Snow White.
This started with the movie star Rachel Zegler, who I believe would be categorized as a loudmouth dope. I mean, she's a girl in her 20s who really, you know, she has a beautiful singing voice. She's not a great actress.
It may sound unbelievable, but industry insiders claim the decision came after a high-stakes emergency meeting in Burbank, where executives reviewed alarming audience polls. Reportedly, fans aren't just rejecting the film's messaging, they're rejecting Zegler herself. With millions of dollars at stake, Disney is said to be flipping the entire narrative, quickly recasting the lead role and moving fast.
And there is no resolution in sight for the Walt Disney Company when it comes to Snow White 2025 at the box office. This is exactly why Bob Iger, the Disney CEO, is in pure panic mode over not just the Rachel Zegler backlash, but the entire backlash surrounding this movie in general.
Whispers of the switch are spreading quickly. Cinemas across the US and Europe are reportedly taking down Snow White posters, especially those featuring Zegler. Staff have allegedly been told that new promotional materials are on the way, and when they arrive, it'll be Gadot's face replacing Zegler's on international banners. This isn't just a rebrand, it's being described as a complete reshuffle.
After one hell of a PR tour, Disney's live-action Snow White is finally, I know, you were wondering.
Embargoed emails have started circulating. Fan sites, influencers, and entertainment reporters are being told that Zegler will no longer be part of the promo tour. No interviews, no red carpets, no fan Q&As. Meanwhile, Gadot is reportedly being pushed to the forefront of the campaign. As fans begin connecting the dots, the theory gains traction by the hour.
White, they recreated it. You know, Disney's gone woke. As I keep telling you guys, even though a lot of the woke stuff is disappearing, the way Hollywood works, the way books are written, the way movies are made, TV shows are made, there's stuff, they call it in the can. That's the industry phrase. Meaning they make things that, 2 years ago that take a long time to get out. So even though woke in some sense feels like it's dead, it still has to run its course through the system. The ghosts have to get out of the machine.
Behind the scenes, chaos is reportedly unfolding. Theater partners have been ordered to halt all custom merchandise tied to Zegler, and screening kits are being recalled. Teams are allegedly being instructed to lean heavily into the classic aesthetic, including new visuals of Gadot wearing a traditional Snow White gown. That single image alone is sparking a frenzy across Disney fan forums.
More on what's going on with Snow White, because it is failing, because people do not fall for this nonsense. And you can see people just don't want to be bludgeoned. Imagine, I don't know if any of the Disney people are watching the program today, but imagine if you guys just made entertainment for the sake of entertaining.
Online, it's a frenzy. Reddit is exploding with fan theories, while TikTok sleuths post side-by-side comparisons of Gadot and Snow White concept art. Zegler has suddenly vanished from Disneyland's princess lineup, and fans can no longer ignore the signs. Something big is happening.
But why is it profound that they couldn't make the film? They couldn't even make the film. So they started out, with this nonsense that we're not going to have love, a woman can't be looking for love. And then Peter Dinklage complained about the dwarfs. And then there was, Rachel Zegler came out about the Middle East. And it was just all this woke nonsense, all this kind of virtue.
Then comes the bombshell headline. From queen to princess, Gal Gadot's surprise Snow White upgrade. It dominates entertainment news cycles, while Disney stays silent. Multiple insiders claim reshoots are already underway, with Gadot currently recording new musical numbers. Zegler, reportedly caught off guard by the news, is said to have made urgent calls to Disney leadership seeking answers. One source described her reaction as furious. "You can't do this to me." Others say she found out about the casting change through a third-party representative and was left devastated.
I just mean that it's no longer 1937, and we absolutely wrote a Snow White that is
not going to be saved by the prince.
She's not going to be saved by the prince, and she's not going to be dreaming about true love. She's dreaming about becoming the leader she knows she can be, and the leader that her late father told her that she could be if she was fearless, fair, brave, and true.
So instead of destroying everything that is old, destroying Snow White, and we saw that the 7 dwarfs are no longer dwarfs, you got rapey and dopey and moron and angry and all the rest of them. Instead of destroying everything from the past, how about you just create a new story? Why didn't Disney just create a new story with a great, strong, interesting female lead and make it everything that the actress would like it to be?
Now the shift appears unmistakable. Gadot's image is everywhere, while Zegler's presence vanishes. Retailers are reportedly pulling Zegler-themed dolls and posters, replacing them with neutral placeholders or early mock-ups of Gadot in a reimagined Snow White costume. If true, this isn't just a replacement, it's a complete rewrite of the narrative unfolding in real time. Zegler has noticeably stepped back from Disney's media spotlight, and it's no coincidence. Behind closed doors, top executives are reportedly pulling every lever to clean up what's being called one of the biggest PR disasters in the company's recent history. Her face, once plastered across Disney promos, is suddenly gone, and insiders claim her appearances have been scrubbed entirely. This isn't just damage control, it's a full-blown retreat. But how did it come to this? How did a rising star, with the full backing of Disney, become the face of one of the company's most controversial flops? Let's rewind. At one point, Rachel Zegler was a Hollywood darling, a rising star with a voice that turned heads and charisma that won hearts. Her breakout performance in West Side Story earned her critical acclaim and set the stage for what looked like a meteoric rise in the industry. It wasn't long before Disney took notice. The studio, eager to revamp its classic properties for a new generation, handpicked Zegler to lead its ambitious live-action remake of Snow White.
And it was a titanic hit. If by Titanic you mean the ship, and if by hit you mean the collision with the iceberg. I mean, it just went right down to the ground, to the bottom of the sea. And the reason it bombed had a lot to do with what we call wokeness, but let's call it something else. Let's call it social justice piety. This idea that somehow a generation has been born to us that suddenly sees morality in a way that no one on earth has ever seen it before, suddenly realizes that there's injustice in the world and is going to perfect the world, suddenly realizes that sometimes the races don't like each other, that there are struggles between men and women, and it's going to perfect all of those things by not letting anybody talk and say the things that offend them by bringing the realities of the injustice of life.
Disney's move made sense at the time. They were banking on youth, diversity, and a fresh perspective. Zegler brought all three. She was young, talented, and outspoken, qualities the company believed would help modernize the age-old fairy tale for today's audiences. This wasn't just another remake, it was a reimagination, a bold reinvention of a story everyone thought they knew. The studio pitched the film as a progressive leap forward. Snow White would no longer be a passive princess, waiting for rescue. She'd be a leader, a fighter, a modern heroine shaped by values of independence and empowerment. The message was clear. This wasn't your grandmother's Snow White, and Zegler, with her fierce confidence and activist voice, seemed like the perfect match. At least, that was the pitch. But Zegler didn't just play the role, she threw out the old playbook and tried to reinvent it entirely, injecting her own modern commentary and bold critiques into nearly every interview. Her portrayal wasn't just a performance, it was a statement, and that statement didn't sit well with a large chunk of the internet. She didn't shy away from controversy. She challenged traditional gender dynamics, openly critiqued the prince's role, and dismissed the original film's romantic arc as outdated and awkward. Her intent may have been to spark conversation, and modernize the narrative, but the tone came across to many as dismissive and even combative. Suddenly, what was supposed to be a fresh, empowering take became a battleground for culture wars. Online clips of her interviews began circulating. Comment sections turned hostile. Within days, Zegler's version of Snow White transformed from a hopeful reimagining to a lightning rod for backlash. In interview after interview, she criticized the original film. She called the prince character weird and creepy, and claimed the love story was irrelevant. In one now viral moment, she smirked and said, "We didn't do that this time." Those words detonated across social media. For fans, it wasn't just what she said, it was how she said it. Dismissive, arrogant, and to many, disrespectful to the legacy of one of Disney's most beloved classics. Almost overnight, the internet turned hostile. Hashtags calling out Disney's woke remake trended for weeks. TikTok videos ridiculing Zegler's interviews racked up millions of views. Even longtime Disney fans were outraged. But here's where it gets interesting. At first, Disney tries to weather the storm. The studio's PR teams go into overdrive, crafting tightly controlled statements and carefully rehearsed talking points. Crisis meetings are held. Marketing executives are told to shift focus, soften the message, and lean into nostalgia. They double down on their usual strategies, hoping the controversy would fade with time. But the backlash doesn't let up. It intensifies. Each new clip or statement from Zegler stirs fresh outrage. The company's social media channels are bombarded. Comment sections are flooded with disapproval. Hashtags trend daily. It becomes clear that Disney is no longer just managing a PR hiccup. They're in the midst of a full-scale brand revolt. Then, the first trailer drops. The response? It's brutal. YouTube floods with negative comments. Dislike ratios soar. Analysts begin tracking engagement trends, and the results are alarming. Longtime Disney fans begin abandoning the project entirely. The trailer, meant to reignite excitement, instead confirms what critics had feared. The film feels disconnected, unmagical, and out of touch. By this point, even Disney can't deny it. The damage has already taken root, and it's spreading. YouTube comments were flooded with backlash. IMDb ratings tanked. Forums and fan sites declared the remake dead on arrival.
Then came the breaking point.
What shocked Disney the most?
Disney decides
Even
to
their
take
own critics,
unprecedented
people who
action.
usually
Something
defended
the studio
them,
has
began
never
to turn.
attempted with a lead in such a high-profile
Industry
project.
insiders
According to insiders,
reported
they
palpable
began
panic
scrubbing
among
Rachel
Disney
Zegler
execs.
from the entire
Bob
promotional
Iger,
slate.
the CEO
She's no
himself,
longer
was briefed
scheduled
on
for
the
talk
negative
shows,
metrics.
fan expos,
Early test
or
screenings had
convention
shown
panels.
lukewarm interest,
Behind closed
but the
doors,
online backlash made it crystal clear. This wasn't just a bad launch, it was a brand crisis. Then came the breaking point. Privately, Disney decided to take unprecedented action, something the studio had never attempted with a lead in such a high-profile project. According to insiders, Disney begins scrubbing Rachel Zegler from the entire promotional slate. She's no longer scheduled for talk shows, fan expos, or convention panels. Behind closed doors, her name is reportedly removed from internal campaign decks and timelines. Executives give quiet orders to cease all outreach efforts featuring her likeness. Simultaneously, the marketing team allegedly receives instructions to replace her imagery across all social channels. Her face begins disappearing from Instagram Reels, official YouTube thumbnails, and the banners on Disney's own streaming homepage. The erasure isn't instant, but it's thorough and fast. While this is happening on the surface, deeper in the studio's corridors, an even more shocking conversation begins. According to multiple sources, top-level decision-makers huddle for a high-priority meeting and float the unthinkable, a complete reboot. Not just a PR strategy shift, but a potential overhaul of the movie itself, cast and all. Less than a year after, wrapping production, Disney isn't just rethinking its marketing approach. It's reportedly preparing to erase the project entirely and start again from the ground up. What began as a strategic pullback now becomes a full-scale reinvention in motion. No public announcement, no statement from Zegler, just silence. The message was
Bob
clear.
Iger, the CEO
Disney was
himself,
cutting its losses.
was briefed on the negative metrics.
But why did
Early
the
test
studio's
screenings
biggest
had shown
star turn into
lukewarm
its
interest,
biggest liability?
But the online backlash made it
According to
crystal
leaked
clear.
documents,
This wasn't
it wasn't
a
just
bad law.
Zegler's interviews. There were factions within Disney, marketing teams, PR heads, and producers clashing over the film's direction. Some pushed for progressive changes, while others warned they were alienating the core audience. As the backlash grew, so did the infighting. Disney's internal chaos spilled out. Emails leaked. Strategy meetings ended in arguments. Conflicting press materials were sent out, contradicting the studio's messaging. One producer reportedly called the promotional campaign a train wreck. The marketing team was accused of being completely out of sync with the creative vision, and Zegler became the scapegoat for everything that went wrong. But what happened? Next stunned even industry veterans. At a closed-door event, Disney made a rare, desperate decision to reboot Snow White again. You heard that right. A brand new film, same title, different cast, different tone, and most importantly, no Rachel Zegler. The new direction? A return to the emotional core of the original 1937 animated film. Classic themes, timeless visuals, beloved songs, and no political overtones. Disney framed it as a tribute to storytelling, but everyone knew the truth. It was damage control, pure and simple. Even more surprising, the very Hollywood insiders who once championed Zegler are now backing away. Former allies in the industry have grown eerily silent. Producers who once praised her as the future of Disney are now declining to comment. Privately, some are reportedly furious. One executive was quoted saying, "She destroyed hundreds of millions in IP value." Another source claimed Disney's merchandising division took a massive hit, with millions in unsold Snow White merchandise sitting in warehouses. Major retailers slashed prices weeks after launch. Toys were pulled from shelves. Clothing lines were canceled. Financial analysts say the losses were staggering. And for Zegler, the fallout was personal. Offers dried up. Buzz faded. Despite her attempts to defend herself, many in Hollywood began viewing her as a liability. Even now, she hasn't publicly responded to the reboot, and insiders say she likely won't. Disney's decision to exclude her from the new film speaks volumes. But here's where things could finally turn around for the Mouse House. The new Snow White, expected to enter production in late 2025, will be helmed by a director with both animation and live-action experience. The screenwriter, known for emotional storytelling, has reportedly been instructed to honor the original, not rewrite it. Casting is underway, but quietly, Disney is looking for someone with classic Hollywood charm. Someone who embodies innocence, warmth, and vocal talent, not controversy. There's even talk of bringing back legacy Disney animators as consultants, names who helped shape the look and feel of Disney's Renaissance era, people who know what made Beauty and the Beast, Aladdin, and The Little Mermaid so iconic. And as part of this return to tradition, the dwarfs are back too. This time, portrayed with care and craftsmanship that aligns with the heart of the original, but done with respect and real craftsmanship. The plan? Rebuild the trust Disney lost. The stakes couldn't be higher for Disney. This isn't just another movie. It's a chance to reclaim its reputation. If they fail again, Snow White might never recover, especially after the previous version's financial losses.